I moved home about 2 years ago now, and even though I basically have zero fixed expenses, I realized that I wasn't really saving. So when I thought about it more and I started tracking my expenses and actually budgeting, so when I took a look at the things that I was spending, well, wasting my money on, it was honestly embarrassing. So here are 10 things to stop buying to save money in your 20s, to become richer, save more money, and stop spending unnecessarily. So the very first thing is overpriced coffee, and hear me out. It's not the $7 drink that's going to prevent you from reaching your savings goals. It's the daily $7 drink, which becomes $8, $9. And I live in Toronto, so I know that the tipping culture and the tax, everything adds up. And before you know it, your drink is costing you about $10. And when you do that every single day, whether you work in office or whether you work from a cafe and you want to just get yourself a little emotional support drink, it does add up. I'm not trying to demonize your daily coffee. I'm saying that you have to start seeing it as a compounding habit. When you really think about it, $7 a day times the 5 days that you're going to work times 52 weeks, that adds up to an extra $1,850 per year. And I did the math, so you don't need to. That can easily buy you a trip or an experience, anything else actually that would invest back into you. So the fix isn't to quit coffee, it's to limit it to 2 to 3 times per week. You can limit it to whether you're going out to see a friend, you're actually going to go do work at a cafe, you're just treating yourself, but don't do it every single day. And trust me, you will notice a difference. I had a perfectly good Nespresso machine sitting at home that I wasn't using. So I just refilled on my pods and I started making my coffees at home and I started customizing it for what I knew that I would really enjoy. And I haven't really looked back since. And to be honest, my at home coffees sometimes actually taste better than the $7 latte I was buying at a cafe. So when I was really taking a look back on my expenses, especially from the COVID pandemic era, I was noticing a lot of impulse purchases from TikTok and Instagram ads. And I'm sure you've done the same thing, but I noticed a lot of my purchases and Amazon deliveries were just things that were trending on social media at the time. And I realized that I could really cut back on that. And realistically, I'm not using 12 products every day for my skincare. I'm only using 3 max. So just really hone down on what you actually need and what you don't need. And the algorithm will know exactly what you want to see. And it's going to keep showing you more of it until you end up buying something. So you just have to snap yourself out of it. And the dopamine hit lasts about 10 minutes. But then when the package arrives 3 weeks later, you actually forgot you even ordered this thing in the first place. And then you're just adding it to all the other junk that you have in your house that you're not really using. This hits for Gen Z specifically. So if you're like me and you're seeing all the trending products and you think that it's really going to change your life or make your life easier, unfollow the accounts that make you want to buy more things. If you're seeing accounts that constantly do hauls, that constantly do PR unboxing, that constantly promote like the latest and newest products, trust me, you can live without it and you can live a really good life without it. Now I give myself 48 hours. If I really want something, I'll revisit in 48 hours. If I really, really want it, I'll give myself another 2 weeks to really think about it. Something that I was recently really considering was the iPhone 17. And after looking at it in person, talking to people that already had it and just watching reviews online, I'm realizing that I really don't need it. I have the 14 Pro Max and it works perfectly fine. I'm using it right now to film this video and I'm seeing no issues with it. So I don't see the need to buy a new iPhone just because I'm seeing all my favorite creators unbox theirs. So the third thing that I wanted to talk about is when I had first moved back home from the city. So I live in the suburbs and there isn't a lot to do around here, I find. So I was finding myself with a lot of free time, especially post grad. I was still job hunting. I had a lot of time on my hands. I was buying a lot of those aesthetic hobby kits for hobbies that I hadn't even started yet. For example, I bought a crochet kit and I have never crocheted in my life. So I don't know why I bought this $30 crochet kit from Amazon. The hobby pipeline is a known phenomenon online, especially on TikTok, where people are showing you all their latest hobbies. And a hobby that is free is reading. And I know I love reading. So I wasn't even buying books. I was buying random nonsense that I was never going to start. And another thing that I was noticing is workouts become a trend. So you don't need to be buying a lot of workout gear. You don't need to go to Alo or Lululemon and buy a matching set before you even start working out consistently. It really does add up and you're spending all this extra money on a hobby that you haven't even been consistent with. We all know someone who does this, and when we become that someone, it just feels so icky to think about. So here's what you need to do. So you need to either borrow or try it secondhand first. So when I was going to my boxing studio, I would I would borrow the gloves first just to see if this is something I actually see myself doing long term. I would say try it out for at least 3 months. If you see that you're being consistent with your hobby for at least 3 months and it's something that you want to invest in, then you should start investing in equipment for it if you need the equipment. And also, guys, a lot of the hobbies that people love doing regularly are free. A lot of those things you already have the supplies in your house. So reading, drawing, bullet journaling, a lot of those hobbies are actually already free, and buying things to encourage yourself to start something just doesn't make sense. Okay, so I want to do a little pause here because the real point of this video, it's not about depriving yourself completely. Living at home in your 20s is actually such a privilege if you think about it, and a lot of people in the world actually don't get that privilege. So you should be using this to your advantage, and you should be using this time to actually save money. So if you're able to do that, then you should be using this time to save money if that is a priority to you. And if you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that it is. So on that note, I want to talk about my fourth point, which is subscriptions that you forgot you signed up for. So I found that when I was auditing my expenses and I was just looking through what I was spending money on, I was looking through my credit card statements, I realized there were a lot of subscriptions. For example, I found a $19 a month charge for a meditation app that I stopped using in 2022. So that was embarrassing. And also, I realized that as soon as I canceled this, that was another almost $20 that I was going to save. So I would suggest you do a full audit right now, see what you're getting charged for every month, and see what you can cut back on. If you're a student or if you're a new grad, you're still able to qualify for a lot of discounts for some of these subscriptions. So for example, Uber One was one of them. And also, if you've just graduated or you're opening up a new credit card, you are able to go to your bank and see if you can get that 1 year annual fee waived. And also, anytime you sign up for a free trial, put in your calendar the day before the free trial actually ends. And if you find yourself not using the product, cancel it the day before it ends, not the day of, because you most likely will forget or miss the cancellation window and get charged for it anyways. One more idea is to rotate streaming services instead of using them all at once. Realistically, you're not watching 20 shows or 20 movies at once. You don't need all of them. Okay, so on to the next point. So the fifth way that you can save money and live better in your 20s, cutting down on fast fashion. And when I say fast fashion, I mean the trending pieces that you will only wear twice. And I was noticing that I had a full closet, especially moving back home. I moved all my clothes into my closet now, and I was constantly thinking that I had nothing to wear. So this is about cost per wear. I started shopping for staples. I would rather invest in a $100 pair of jeans that I can wear over and over again, $30 pairs of jeans that I could wear twice. I would highly suggest you do the same thing. Instead of throwing away your clothes, look into ways to donate them so that if something's still good as new, but you're not seeing any use in it, you could still donate to someone who will be using it. Okay, so number 6 is something that we all struggle with, and that is eating out to avoid cooking at home. You really don't notice it until your body actually starts to react to constantly eating out, constantly eating takeout, fast food, as a quick fix. Just when you're out with friends, you're out for the night, you're traveling, whatever it may be, it becomes another expense that adds up. And this is an expense that I saw actually increase when I was living at home versus when I was living in the city. I thought I was saving money by living at home, so it just made sense to put that into takeout. Uber, DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, they add these delivery charges and taxes and fees that bring up the price even more. And I know we do it out of convenience, but realistically, you can cook at home. You have a perfectly good kitchen that you haven't used, and grocery shopping does not take too long if you plan your meals in advance. So what I started doing was I would ingredient prep. I would cut up my fruits and vegetables ahead of time so that I knew what meals I would need, and I wasn't just being lazy. I would just have to throw in the ingredients together and do it. If you're someone who doesn't like meal prepping and you don't like eating the same things every week, that's something that I would suggest doing. So that way you're cooking at home 5 days a week, and if you're going out with your friends on the weekends or you just want to treat yourself, then that makes more sense. I actually completely cut down on my Uber Eats, and that's because when you live in the suburbs, there aren't that many good options anyway. So I just started cooking at home, and I actually enjoy it more. So if I'm eating out now, it's usually with my friends. I'm out in person. Okay, so number 7. This is a good one. This is skincare and beauty hauls that you don't actually need. And we've all fallen into the trap of copying our favorite influencers' 12-step skincare routine, or we get really inspired by what they're using and we think that we should be using the same thing because we all want to have clear skin. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that I really struggled with my acne, and I had to learn the hard way. I don't need the 12-step skincare routine when my skin was perfectly fine with 3 drugstore products that I was using every single day. day, I realized that I was buying solutions to problems I actually didn't have. And if you're watching this video, you've likely done the same thing at one point in your life or another. The beauty industry tends to create this insecurity around glass skin. I've noticed that's like the recent trend that I've been seeing a lot. You really don't need all those extra products. A normal person does not have 50 skincare products that are waiting to be used. That's just not normal, and that's something that's being sold to you. So that is something to be aware of, and it's something that you can easily cut down on. And right now I use all drugstore products for my skincare, and I use tretinoin that's been prescribed to me. That works a lot better than the products that I was hauling from Sephora just because I saw someone do it on Instagram. So what I would recommend is identify your 3 to 4 non-negotiables before you go buying new products or seeking products before you go looking for products for problems that you don't have yet. So point number 8, that would bring me, I know we talked a little bit about ordering takeout, and I want to talk about convenience fees and markup items. For example, buying snacks and water at the airport. Another example is pre-cut fruit. I did the comparisons on the prices, and it's about a 300% markup on things that you actually don't need. And that's just for packaging and convenience. A water bottle that would have cost you $1 anywhere else is gonna cost you way more at the airport because you didn't plan in advance. You didn't bring your reusable water bottle. So because of that, I always pack my reusable water bottle and snacks in my bag before I leave the house. That way I haven't even spent $0 on a necessity. Another thing that I've noticed that I was doing, and a lot of you probably are doing, is buying things to feel financially stable before you actually are. So that is buying a new planner, buying a budgeting notebook, buying the aesthetic spreadsheet templates. So you're essentially buying the feeling of having your finances together before you actually do it. And it's actually ironic to spend money on money saving tools because if you really think about it, the notes app in your phone is free. The notebook that you already have, or the notebooks, in my case, I buy a lot of notebooks. There's also like the finance books. If you're buying finance books and not reading them, you're not saving money, you're actually spending money, and you're not even getting the knowledge. Go get a library card, get as many books as you need, put them on hold, get them. And if you're not reading it, at the end of the day, all you have to do is just give it back, and you're not really losing anything in the long run. You don't need to buy something that you think is going to make you money savvy because most likely you're not going to use it and it's not going to help. Guys, one thing I realize is action over aesthetics. You don't need a pretty system. All you need is what you currently use. That brings me to the last point, and that is any experience that you can't really afford, but you're doing it for the content, you're doing it for the gram. And this is something I noticed that a lot of people were doing post grad. And just because you spend $400 on a weekend trip because all your friends are going, FOMO spending is probably one of the hardest habits to stop because you feel the social pressure that you need to keep up with. And if you really think about it, it's not necessary. Experiences are great, but there are ways to find budget friendly ones and just have those conversations up front. You can go to Europe on a budget. You can go to a concert, and you just have to find cheaper tickets. And a lot of this has to do with planning and research. So make sure that you're doing that before you actually agree to anything and put your credit card down for something that you know you can't pay off. If you can't pay it off in full, you shouldn't be buying it. That's just the rule. FOMO spending is actually a social tax. You're buying the sense of belonging and not the actual experience, and you're just going to regret it later. So that's something that you really can cut down on. And if your friends want to do something and you're really not comfortable with it, let them know, hey, I'm saving right now, I can't go on that trip. Use up your savings just to keep up with this lifestyle that nobody's really expecting from you. So that brings us to the end of this video. And living at home in your 20s, initially I thought it was going to be super lame. I was telling myself that I would never do it. So when you think about it, this is the best time to save and really have more time to figure out your next step, and what you do with it really matters. I'm not telling you to grind and go get multiple jobs to keep up with your spending. I'm saying to really cut back and think about the things that you don't really need. And it could be something I listed in this video, it could be something that you thought of, or something else that's intentional that I have not mentioned. And I would love if you guys can comment below about a way that you're saving money in your 20s that isn't really talked about, just so that we can learn from each other and grow, because that is what social media and YouTube is about. I'm really happy that I'm able to share my findings after I looked through my own spendings and my expenses. So let me know what you're cutting first or what you want to cut out first. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.